Hi, my name is Tristan Roney. A lot of people that'll see this actually already know that, but I'm sitting here in the car. It's Tuesday, March 20th, first day of spring, so happy spring, everyone. My little baby, Satori's asleep in the back seat there, so I'm just hanging out in the car, and I thought this would be a good time to make this video that I've been doing a lot of thinking about and planning for over the last little while. I wanted to talk about something that's really concerning me. So some of you that already know me may know that my wife started and owns a CBD business, cannabidiol. It's called Wasatch Herbals, and that company sources and mixes and sells CBD oil. CBD oil is made from cannabis, but it's entirely CBD. There's no THC in it. So for those of you that don't know, THC is the part of cannabis or marijuana that gets people high. But it's not the only component that's in cannabis. There's several different, they're called cannabinoids, but one of the other major ones is called CBD or cannabidiol. And CBD has all of these really cool potential benefits that can help potentially everything from childhood seizures to chronic pain to sleep disorders to even potentially it can have anti-cancer benefits, right? And the list of potential benefits is extremely long and continues to grow. And as a result of that, CBD has exploded in popularity in recent years. There's a good chance that you have either heard of it or taken it, or you know someone who has taken it. The stories that people tell about it are absolutely incredible. Now, the research actually substantiating a lot of these claims is still young and in a lot of areas non-existent because CBD comes from cannabis, which means that it's a controlled substance, and research on controlled substances has historically been very, very sparse. So as a result, we don't know nearly as much as we'd like to know, but what we are seeing so far, just from anecdotes, is that CBD has a lot of incredible benefits. Now, what matters here is that because of these potential incredible benefits, it's extremely popular. And because it's extremely popular, it has created a very awkward situation legally where people are selling and buying and using CBD oil all over the country, and there aren't any laws in several states, Utah included, that make it either explicitly legal or illegal. So it's existed in this gray area where it might be legal, but it might not be legal. And that has been problematic. So lawmakers, rightly so by the way, have been trying to address this and make CBD explicitly legal so that people can benefit from it. Now, the reason why I am recording this video is because while I applaud the efforts of lawmakers to solve this dilemma that we're facing in Utah, I am extremely concerned about the consequences of what they came up with. And I am very troubled by some of their reasoning as they've gone through the process of creating these laws. So the law in question that I'm referring to is Senate Bill 130. It was sponsored by Evan Vickers, and the House equivalent was sponsored by Brad Daw. And this law attempts to create a legal framework for the distribution and the selling of CBD oil, which, wonderful, right? Fantastic. But there's a few different parts of this law. One which is great, two of which are absolutely terrible in my opinion. So the one that I like is that the law will require the registration or certification or whatever you want to call it of all CBD products sold in Utah. And the reason why I like this particular part of the law is because I do believe that it's important for us to have some kind of certification process for CBD. That is, you hear stories here and there about people that are taking what they think is just CBD oil, but what they're actually getting is tainted with either THC or some kind of synthetic marijuana chemicals, right? And they end up basically getting, unknowingly, they get themselves high and have problems. And we want to avoid that type of situation, right? Just like with any product that we buy and take into our bodies, we want to make sure that it's pure and that we're only getting what we are buying. So that part's great, right? There's going to be testing done, and any product that you can actually buy with CBD, you can have some kind of confidence that you're getting actual CBD and nothing else. Wonderful. But from there it goes downhill really quickly. The next part of the law says that in order to obtain CBD products in Utah, you need to have what's essentially a prescription from a physician. And this part makes absolutely no sense to me, because we already solved the biggest problem with CBD oil in the first part of this law by making people get their product tested and registering it as a safe CBD product in Utah. We take out any of the doubt and any of the risk that comes with CBD oil, right? So why do we then also force people to go see a doctor in order to get it? There are just so many problems with this. One, it increases the cost, and that's a huge problem. People don't need to pay a ton of extra money in order to get CBD oil. It's already unnecessarily expensive because it comes from cannabis, and therefore distribution options are limited. And we're going to make it even worse for people, because now they've got to go pay a doctor to essentially say, yeah, you can take this absolutely safe, risk-free product. And when I say risk-free, I'm not exaggerating a whole lot. CBD has no obvious or widespread negative side effects. It is very rare that somebody has any kind of sensitivity or allergy to CBD. In fact, I don't know of anyone that has had that. You cannot overdose on CBD. Think about that for a second. There are very few medications or supplements out there that you cannot overdose on, and CBD is one of them. So it really doesn't get much safer than this, yet we're going to make people go see a doctor in order to get a hold of it. Why? The only reason I can come up with is because it's related somewhat to cannabis. That's unfair, it's irrational, and it does not help the people of Utah, especially the people that have the strongest need for CBD, which are people that are in pain, people that are struggling emotionally or with sleep or what have you, right? So that's really troubling, but it gets even worse. The third part of the law that I'll talk about here is that they are now going to require all CBD products to be sold through pharmacies. So essentially they're saying CBD is a drug, and it's going to be regulated as a drug. You need a prescription, you have to get it from a pharmacy. So we're just exacerbating the problems all over again, right? We're creating a form of a monopoly here where CBD can only be distributed through very limited channels. And by the way, these pharmacies need to be registered CBD legal pharmacies. So not every pharmacy even is going to carry them. And what that means is that you're going to have very little competition at these pharmacies when it comes to pricing. And what happens when there's no competition? Prices go up. That's just one of the basic laws of economics. So we're creating a situation here where people are right now, before this law gets signed by the governor, they're able to go to one of many, many different health stores in Utah and get CBD at a reasonable price. It could definitely be cheaper, but it's somewhat reasonable right now. And what's going to happen as soon as this law gets signed, or within a couple of months of the law being signed, is you're going to have to first go see your doctor and pay your doctor, or if you're lucky, you've met your deductible for the year, and so it's covered by your insurance. And you're going to have to make sure that it's the kind of doctor who knows anything about CBD and is willing to write a prescription for CBD, which, good luck, by the way. If doctors haven't been trained on it by a sales rep, then they probably don't know anything about it. And you may get one that is willing to work with you and educate themselves about it. But you may get one that says, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable with this because I don't know anything about it. And once again, CBD is related to cannabis. So there's an automatic sense of fear when it comes to it, when there's no education, when you're ignorant about what's really going on with it. So you have to go through that process. And then once you get your prescription, you're going to have to find a pharmacy that carries it. And who knows how many pharmacies are going to get certified to be able to carry CBD. We don't know anything about how difficult the process is going to be. And when you get that, finally, you're going to pay how much more for it, right? I bet it's going to be somewhere between 4 and 10 times as much. And all for what, right? We say that we're doing this in the name of consumer safety, but the only part of this bill that makes any sense is making people get their product tested and registering those products as being safe, right? All that we needed to do was that, and we added all this extra stuff. And to make it even worse, Evan Vickers, the Senate sponsor of this bill, owns pharmacies. He's a pharmacist. Now, he's already stated that his pharmacies aren't going to carry CBD, so in his words, it's not a conflict of interest. But I don't buy that for 1 second, because he comes from the pharmacy industry, right? He's helping out his pharmacy group by writing this bill this way. And that, to me, should be a huge red flag for everybody in Utah. This should not be okay with us. Now, I have my own conflict of interest here, right? My wife sells CBD. She makes and sells CBD. So yes, absolutely, my family is going to lose money as a result of this bill. But that is not what gets me furious, because we have tons of other ways that we can make money and support ourselves. This is not going to create financial difficulty for us. But what this is going to do is make it a lot harder for average Utahns to get a hold of a potentially really, really beneficial product in CBD, right? It's going to prevent the poorest and some of the most in need Utahns from getting access to something that can help them in huge ways, because they're not going to be able to afford the copay. They're not going to be able to afford paying the extra surcharge that you get from having to buy from a pharmacy, right? And therefore they're not going to try it, and they're not going to see if it can help them. And they're going to be stuck on the same old medication treadmill that they've been on forever, taking drugs with crazy side effects that don't really make them better, and over time create their own problems, which require other drugs that have other side effects, and so on and so on and so on. And this is, to me, this is just wrong. It's just wrong, and I'm seriously concerned that it's too late. Now, there's this very tiny chance that Governor Herbert vetoes the bill and doesn't sign it. And if there's any justice in the world, then that is what will happen. So far, there's still a little bit of time. So maybe somehow someone will give him essentially the same spiel that I've just given here. Or maybe somehow he'll see this video and he'll really think about, what are we doing here? Are we really making Utah a better place for its citizens? Or are we making things a lot harder in order to benefit a very few people? Right? The CBD industry is huge, and it's continuing to explode. I don't know how many millions or billions of dollars are in the industry, but I guarantee it's a lot of money, and the few people who are going to be able to sell CBD in the state have a huge potential upside financially. And to me, it is an absolute travesty that those people are going to get rich off of the backs of sick Utahns that are missing out on CBD, or paying through the nose for CBD because they have to get a prescription, because they have to go to a pharmacy. All right, I hope I've made my point here. This is something that really bothers me. I'll make another video soon about how my wife is planning on trying to deal with this. Unfortunately, for most people out there, this is just the new reality. If you've been using CBD and finding it beneficial, then unfortunately, if you want to obtain it legally in Utah, your costs are almost definitely going to increase quite a bit. I guess that's all I'll talk to you later.